Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening at the Upskilling Labs. We're a fast growing peer to peer learning community exploring how emerging technology and skill sharing can unlock human potential. I'm Tati Warren, and I have the pleasure of introducing my friend and colleague, Rachael Wooden of Kaiser Permanente. She's a community health manager there, and Rachael brings more than 20 years of experience across education and community health. Design thinking changed how she builds programs and how she leads. And after 10 years of education and 12 years in community health, she knows best that solutions start with listening. So I hope that your ears is attuned to today's workshop. Rachael is going to help us on today learn how to design with communities and not just for them. This session is designed to be interactive. You'll have an opportunity to collaborate and craft powerful how might we statements, reframe challenges to unlock fresh practical solutions, and you'll get an opportunity to explore how tools like Claude can also support your thinking. I hope that you find this space to be welcoming and informative. We're super excited as this is the third workshop in our second build cycle focused on energy and climate. And so with that, join me in welcoming Rachael Wooden.
Hello, everyone. I am always so excited to be surrounded by creative problem solvers. And so today is just had me buzzing all day thinking about getting to spend time with y'all and to dig in a little bit on what it takes to make a great question, because design thinking really hinges on having the right question and your ability to revisit it and make sure that it's aligned to the other steps in the process. So we're going to dig into that a little bit today, and we're going to try out how AI might be able to help you in that process. So with that, I'm going to try sharing my screen. Before I do, I would love for everyone to drop their name in the chat and a problem or an issue you've been thinking about lately. Is everyone able to add to chat?
Yep, they're dropping. We see Madu. She lives in Arlington, Virginia. She says hello. We have T from DC. So they're probably dropping. We have Sandra on, and she's been noodling over a good system to recruit and engage volunteers with the Upskilling Labs. I second that. Carol is joining us from Virginia, Rachael. I, Tati Warren, am tuning in from Silver Spring, Maryland. We have Caroline Lake from Arlington. We have Victor from Vienna, Virginia. We have Antonella from Alexandria, Virginia. Nick from DC. Fabian from DC. Thank you guys for letting us know where you're tuning in from. If you can share with us, what's that one problem that you're noodling over as Rachael takes it away. And we have Fred from DC, Kristen from Capitol Hill, neighborhood of DC, Matthew from DC, a lot of DC folks, Rachael.
Loving this. Yeah, I'm up in Baltimore, which is why this is virtual, but we're neighbors. We're all neighbors. Yeah, seeing from all over. Okay, so today, if you're able to drop in the chat, I want you to, in maybe one or two words, describe what it feels like when you realize you've been solving the wrong problem. And I have been there many times. So I have lots of choice words for this. But in the chat, what does it feel like when you realize you've been solving the wrong problem?
Let me know if you would like me to read out those responses too.
That would be great. Thank you.
Kristen said, it is soul crushing. Caroline says she's wasted an opportunity. I said frustrating. Tafoyd says, unfortunately, it feels familiar. Nicholas also says it's frustrating, but also eye-opening.
Fabian is so wrong. You are not so dumb. We have all done it.
Madhu says it hurts in many different ways. Fred says it's time wasted. Sandra also said time wasted 100%. Wanda says solving the wrong problem. Start over.
Oh. Yeah, so it doesn't feel good. And I think everyone that's on here, we use design thinking because we care about solving problems for real people. But we have all been in that place where we get ahead of ourselves, or someone a few steps above us tells us that this is the problem and we have to solve for it. Whatever the case, we've all been there where we're halfway through a project and realizing we didn't ask the right question at the beginning, and we're not getting great answers. We're not finding solutions because we didn't start with our footing there. So I'm using multiple screens, so I might be looking around, but this is the arc for tonight. We're just going to be going over quickly what makes a strong how might we question. And then I'll do a quick demo about how to use AI to help support this. And then we're just going to have a jam session. So if you're not yet in front of a computer, and you can be, I really recommend that you find a place to do that, because I want everyone to get in on the tools. I'll be sharing some Google Docs with you that you can drop in there and try to, like, we'll get our feet wet in trying out some of these techniques. And then we'll validate, look at how do we know that this is a good question. I have some tools to share with you there based on, all of the smartest people in this space. I have to say that everything I'm talking about tonight is not original. It's definitely learned and gleaned from a lot of really smart people that have been doing this for a really long time. So with that, how does a how might we question fit into the design process? So many of you might have taken that earlier workshop this week about design thinking. And so this will look familiar to you. And if it's not, welcome. But we have the 5 general steps. They're all about, there are different modes or models to do this, but they're all about the same, where you start with empathy. You start with connecting with people, and then you're defining through your observations and through your empathy exercises before you begin ideating. And then you do the prototype and the test. Well, on this slide, you'll see at the very beginning, there's a little seed before empathize. So you're likely coming to a design challenge with a seed or a thought about a problem that you've observed, but you haven't done a lot of work yet. But you always start with the seed. And then you jump into those empathizing exercises to get to know the human at the center and what their needs are. Once that happens, your seed sprouts, and you're starting to get some ideas and some insights about what the problem is and why it's a problem and who is experiencing the problem. And as that sprouts, you begin defining by distilling all of your research, by distilling all of your experiences and finding those key insights. And then your how might we question begins to take root. And so you'll see the little plant between define and ideate. You do not ever want to start the ideation process before you have done these steps and before you have a how might we question. So what does it do? A how might we question is beautiful. It takes us from just pointing at a problem, which anybody can do, and opening up the world to exploration and getting to get creative and to work with a team and just it's an open playground for problem solving. So you get to look at what we can explore, not just pointing at a question, and you get to create a challenge for yourself and your colleagues and friends. So a how might we statement starts with 3 words. They always want to start with these 3 words, and this is why. So how means we don't have the answer yet. And that often gets tripped up. Sometimes a how might we statement, we'll talk about this a little later, might smuggle in a solution because we think we know better, or we think we have an idea that we want to try. And the how might we means we don't know. And so you want to keep it very open. The might is that there will be more than one answer to your how might be question. And really at the beginning, when you're ideating, there should be at least 10 ideas that can come from this that might be a solution, maybe even more. So that's where the might is important. And then lastly, the we, it is a collaborative project. Sometimes you're doing design thinking in a very small team or a team of 1, which I do sometimes. And sometimes the we is me and Claude working together. And sometimes it's a larger group. But you should never have to do this work alone. And then what's the anatomy of a strong how might we statement? It has 3 parts. The first is the how might we. Like I said before, you never break it apart. And the next part is a verb and a user. So you need a strong verb and a specific person or group of persons. The more specific, the better. So here I have an example. How might we help first-year interns? This is something I'm working on right now. I oversee an internship program. And so how might we help? Help is the verb, first-year interns, specific group. And then you need a goal or a context. And ideally, this is rooted in some research and some empathy exercises, some transcripts, but you can always start somewhere and be revising throughout the process. Like I showed the seed and the sprout and the plant. So for this one, I have build confidence, asking questions of clinicians, which I got from end of program surveys that they often had a lot of questions, but were afraid to ask them. So we're going through all the anatomy before we try it out, but those are the 3 essential pieces. So now I want you to try it, and I want you to use the complaint listed above. Community health workers waste time tracking down clients instead of providing care. So I know you don't have any research with you right now, but I want you to just give it a shot and put it in the chat. And I know they're going to be imperfect. First time is just a jumping off point, but let's get vulnerable and put it in there. Give it a shot. Why do you think? How might we?
So while they're putting those in the chat, Rachel, Victor asked a question in enterprise domain, how might we type of questions seem to be the main job of a business analyst?
That's really interesting. I think these types of questions fit in all sorts of domains. Design thinking can be used at different levels and in different functions. I definitely think a business analyst could be using this if they're trying to solve business problems. I work in community health, and so I'm trying to solve public health problems. And so it just needs to be in a place where you are creating solutions. And you could even use it in finance and accounting, where the end user is just your colleagues, and you're trying to find a more efficient way to be communicating large data sets. How might we? So it can be used all over. Okay, Erin, thank you. How might we improve the time tracking process for community healthcare workers so they can spend more time providing care rather than filling out forms? Or how might we engage with those fragmented healthcare coverage to seek supportive services? How might we help health workers optimize client tracking so they can spend more time providing care? So you guys are putting some really good first shots, good first attempts in here. Keep it coming.
Min K also wrote, how might we help community health workers be more focused on providing care by reducing the time spent on documentation? Sandra wrote, how might we help health workers optimize client tracking so they can spend more time providing care? And then Victor, how might we give patients an ability to sign in by themselves?
These are great. And you're probably also realizing, hey, without context, this is really hard to know what the second half of the question is. So you're doing a great job.
Another two have come in. How might we take administrative burden away from healthcare workers? How might we help community healthcare workers increase time caring for people instead of spending cycles finding clients? How might we help create a workable system for health workers to track clients so that they can concentrate on care? How might we better connect health workers to clients to increase actual health service and lessen paperwork?
This is so great. I am going to share a link to a Google Drive folder that's going to have some documents that we're going to use later. I'm going to put it in the chat now, just so you can all get there by the time we're going to use it. But you can keep it. Let's see. There we go. So just have it in the background until it's time to pull these up. But there are some files in there that we'll need in a minute. And I think everyone should have access, but please let us know in the chat if you're not able to open it. Okay, so on this slide, you'll see that there's two columns, problem and how might we. And you have to start with a problem. It's not bad to have a problem or a complaint. It's important to surface that. But this is just to look at the difference between the two. And so we can get granular later. A problem is a surface observation. So we have that statement that we generated, our how might we's. And then here's a sample that's actually very similar to what everyone else here did. How might we help community health workers spend their time on care rather than chasing after outdated information? So you'll see that the complaint says workers are wasting their time, which is true, but in the how might we, the time is being lost to a specific thing. And again, this will be surfaced in your research. Someone had to know that the contact data was bad before they even received it. It's not just that they're slow or disorganized, they're working with information that's not helpful to them. And that is an insight that will inform a really strong how might we statement. And your rough draft may not have that yet, and that's not a problem. That's where we're going next. So the next slide is going to let us know that it's working. And you don't need to write this down or screenshot it unless you really want to, because I'll be sharing these slides and some other documents that will be useful to you that have this in them. But just to quickly just discuss, it has to come from something real. It can't be just an assumption. you have to actually observe it or hear it from someone, hopefully both. So that's the first. It needs to come from a real place. The next is it has to name a specific person or group of people. It can't be, you know, the whole world. It can't be, you know, people in general. You have to really, the more narrow, the better your solution will be. It also is so important to leave the solution open. I brought this up before, but don't begin designing with a solution in mind. You're going to limit yourself to some really genius creative ideas. And you're also inserting yourself into the conversation when it's not about you. So it's really important to stay focused on the people you're designing for. The next, it's got to lead to at least, I said this earlier, at least 10 meaningful ideas. That's when you know the question is broad enough. It's got to flow from an insight. So you'll probably get, you probably had more training on that earlier, what an insight is. But that's something that you distill from your research. And it should only cover one problem. It's really hard to scope when you have multiple problems. So when you're doing a design thinking challenge, it needs to only have one. It has to point towards a positive outcome, not just away from a bad one. That feels obvious, but sometimes we get stuck in a loop. And then the Goldilocks scoping, it's got to be just right. Okay, next. So we had this already. All right, let's start with a complaint or a pain point and draft a rough how might we. So I am going to share now. Let's see if I can bring Claude up on that same screen. I don't know if it will let me. I tend to use Claude, but the stuff we're talking about today, you can use any LLM. Claude has a little extra bonus with one of the files I'm going to give you later, but you can use everything anywhere. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, give me like a thumbs up if you can see my Claude screen. Is it showing up?
We're still seeing
No.
your demo slide right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to turn off my slideshow for a sec. Thank you.
Or if you share your full screen, then we can see your slide deck and Claude. But
I
you may have
was sharing the whole screen.
Okay.
But let's see where. There we go. Let's try again. Thanks for your patience, everybody.
This is really great, Rachel. We really appreciate you. Give Rachel some thumbs up, guys. Let's give her some chats.
Okay. Do we see Claude now?
We do. Yes, and we're
Yay!
celebrating.
Okay. Let's make it bigger. All right. So I am going to put in my how might we statement from earlier. And I had how might we help community health workers spend their time on care rather than chasing after outdated contact info. All right. So I'm putting my how might we in there. And then I'm also going to paste in, well, I'm going to paste in a prompt and a file that I'm sharing with you. It's a markdown file, and you can use it in Claude as a skill. But first, we're going to add the data. So on the Google Drive, there is a file. See, I'm juggling so many screens right now. On my Google Drive, there's a file called Field Interview. So see if you can locate that because you're going to be using that soon. But I am going to be dropping this in here. So if you haven't used Claude or you're new to AI, you hit the plus button on the bottom and it will pull up all your files. And let's see. Oh. Well, sometimes don't work the way we plan. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in the chat. The field interview transcripts are not real. They are generated with my buddy Claude, and you're going to be using it today to help with your how might we statement. So I'm going to ask Claude, help me create a how might we question, or help me not create, help me revise my how might we question, period. I like to use brackets to isolate the text, and so it knows what I'm talking about. To help me revise my how might we question, using insights drawn from these transcripts. And again, I will, and then hit paste. So while it's working, I'll share with you that I removed a Claude skill. Oh, here it comes. I'll share that in a minute. Okay, it says it's accurate, but frames this as a CHW time management problem. The transcripts point to something more specific and more flexible, blah, 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 blah. And it gives me multiple options. And if this is my project, I will be familiar with the research. And so it will help me figure out where to dig in a little deeper. So also, I would say always ignore AI's suggestions for you. They always say, if I was going to pick from these options, I would pick this one. Always ignore it. You're the human. You know it better than they do. I think they're trying to be encouraging, but they often miss the mark. So that's what I want you to try to do right now, is to paste in the how might we statement that you did before into your LLM of choice and ask it to help you revise based on the transcripts, and either cut and paste them from the Google, or you can download and upload using the plus button. But give that a shot right now and see what it tells you. I kind of wish we had some nice lo-fi music as we're jamming ourselves.
I say that all the time, Rachel. With all the workshops that, I'm like, we should have a little music while we're working. So thank you for channeling that.
Yeah, I know how to do it in Zoom, but I don't know how to do it in Google Meet. And if you have something you'd like to say or questions you'd like to ask, you can come off mute while we're working. And as you're trying out this method, I would love to see what your favorite option is. And you can drop that in the chat. Dr. Tati, was that you?
I got your back.
I like it.
This is the kind of music I listen to when I'm working. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat or unmute. Welcome in space.
Yeah, would love to see. Oh, Nicholas, do I typically use Sonnet Adaptive? I do, because it tends to be the best use of tokens for what I do. Opus just burns through a lot. Reshare the Google Drive link. Oh, thank you, Joy, for sending that. So for those of you newer to AI, you can upload many kinds of files. You can do a screenshot. You can do an Excel file of survey data. You can even upload pictures if you're doing a photo voice style project, all sorts of them. And you can upload multiple at a time when you're doing this or any other phase of the design project. And you'd be surprised at the types of insights that it can glean, especially when you're steering it. Sometimes I like to do like a rough pass where I'm like, hey, Claude, tell me what you notice with these survey results. And then I'll go, well, I noticed this, this, and this too. And of course they're sycophantic. So they go, yeah, you're right. But then they start going in the directions of things you noticed, but then you can like push back and say, hey, what am I missing? Because we're human, we have our own biases, and so we can miss things all the time. And so I like to drop in all of those different kinds of files throughout the process to sometimes start my thinking, sometimes like get a kickstart, or sometimes to push back on myself as like an equity step, asking it. I'm in health, so I ask like with health equity, what am I missing here? And I might drop in a framework that I'm using at the time, or cite someone that's doing really great work in a space and say, hey, compare this to what this person says about this. And it's a really great way to make sure that I'm removing as many blind spots as I can.
We have a few questions if you would like me to read them, Rachel.
That's great. Yeah, let's hear it.
The first one is, does the field interview transcript in this case works as context to understand the problem?
Yeah, great question. So is that Antonella?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, so field interview transcripts are great context to get insights that can inform a question, as are surveys, focus group transcripts. It can be, like I said before, photographs. You can even drop in research that you haven't done that's informed your thinking too. All of those types of transcripts help it and help you to understand, mainly you, but that's the most important thing, helping you to understand the problem. And so you want to get out there and most importantly, talk to the people you're designing for. So if you're designing a clean water solution, talk to the people that drink from that reservoir. Talk to the people that go fishing on that reservoir. you may also want to talk to the people that are polluting it, but you're not designing a solution for them. The solution is for the humans that use that water.
Fabian asked, what are concrete red flags in the how might we process, at which point it is better to switch to another problem statement?
Great question. And I would say, referring back to those 8 slide, or the 8 checklist items that I shared before, if it's coming up against any of those, if it feels like we can't generate enough ideas, then maybe you've gone way too narrow, or we're feeling a little lost in the sauce. Like there's too many ideas going on. You need to revise and make it more narrow. Or I think the red flags are, as you're designing, does it feel wrong? Are you bumping up against things? Also, as you're designing, are you always staying centered on the end user? Are you always staying centered on the humans that you're designing for? So part of it is just like intuition, and part of it is using checklists like the one that I put together that is gleaned again from lots of experts. I hope that answered your question.
Victor also shared, Fabian said, thanks, and thank you so much for your responses on those 2 questions. Victor made a comment and just shared that Claude is better with the intents, but there's a way to do that for other LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini. For the most critical questions, he uses the famous, but before you answer, ask me as many questions as possible to understand it better prompt, and that works well. And I see you shaking your head, Rachel. Any comments or thoughts there?
Oh, that's my favorite thing. And all of the LLMs can do that. So Claude just makes it really pretty and packages it. And so you can like click on answers using the ask user questions feature. But I've used it, like I have to use Copilot with proprietary information through Kaiser Permanente. And Copilot will interview me about things to make sure that it has the right information that it needs. And ChatGPT can do it. They can all do it. Claude just I like because it gives you the clickable buttons and then an option to type in additional detail.
Matt shared, he said, okay, so I did this and ChatGPT was actually kind of snippy and said the problem is that we are not verifying clients before assigning them to CHWs.
I mean, I would be snippy too. Like if I was a CHW and they weren't verified. So I think it's actually a good point. I love that ChatGPT got snippy though. I guess it's mad on behalf of those CHWs.
Caroline said, apparently my question was too broad. The transcripts surface 5 distinct root causes, and your original how might we question bundles them all into one framing. That makes it hard to design against. Breaking them apart into more targeted how might we's will give your workshop more traction. Seems like I should have used Victor's idea.
Yeah, Victor's idea is a great place to start. It also doesn't hurt to have a few options. And so you could have a few how might we statements that you like keep on the wall, and then you go back into the research again and figure out, because there are multiple pain points to all sorts of things. And sometimes you have to design for the one that surfaces the most or causes the most pain. So it's okay in this process to have more than one, but what you don't want to do is have more than one before you start ideating. Did anyone else get any interesting feedback from their LLMs?
T said, this is what I got from Gemini. This is a rich data set. Your previous how might we statement was a good start. But these interviews reveal that the workflow problem is actually a data integrity and feedback loop problem. The CHWs aren't just wasting time, they are performing invisible labor to fix a system that provides stale data and ignores their corrections. Did y'all see Rachel snaps? I love that. I love that, Rachel.
Yeah, I know we were talking about fictional CHWs, but that invisible labor is a real thing. So I just, I had to support them. Okay, I love these, this equity focused Gemini. Nice job.
Matt's back in the chat. He said, "Yup, that's basically what ChatGPT said to me,
but nicer."
But nicer.
Yeah. So AI can be a really great tool, especially if you tell it at the onset, like, don't butter me up, don't be a sycophant. I want real pushback. It can be a really great tool for really small teams, or if you're working solo and you need someone to bounce off of and there's not a human available. So I love to see, and these models are getting better and better at it I wouldn't say every year, every iteration. Okay, so now I want to share with you, there are two more files in that folder that I shared with you. There is the howmightweskill.md, which is a markdown document. And then there's a using a How Might We Skill file. So it's how to help you use it in the future. And it's got instructions for the top 5 LLM AI tools. So, so hopefully you're using one of those, and this document can be useful to you. Sheila, what is a markdown doc? A markdown doc is a very basic plain text document that gives very specific instructions. So the reason that we like to use it in working with AI is that it doesn't use up a lot of tokens or your data, right? So this How Might We Skill MD or markdown document, you can add first to, you know what, why don't we just do it? Let's just do it. So you can either copy and paste it into your LLM, or you can download it, which I think you're going to want to download it and use it later. So it might be worth it to do it now. But you want to download it and attach it. Are you still looking at my screen? Maybe I should do it. Okay. But this markdown document gives very specific directions to your AI chatbot on creating how might we statements or how might we questions. And it can start from several different parts on your path. So it can go from, I have this how might we statement, and I want you to rate it based on those criteria, all the way to an end-to-end, I'm starting from 0, help me walk through this process. And it should, based on what you initially start with, figure out where you are on that continuum, and it will walk you through how to do it. So I love using it, and I removed it from my Claude so that it wouldn't pop up when I was doing the demo, because I didn't want it. I wanted to be on the struggle bus with you before using it, but it's a really helpful tool. And I like to create these for all sorts of different workflows in design thinking and not, that help speed up the process. Has everyone downloaded it? I see some thumbs up. Sheila, to create a markdown doc, I find the easiest way is to paste from like a Word doc into a Google Doc, and then Google will export So when you go to download, you choose what type, and you go like all the way down to the bottom, and it's a .md file, and then you can save it that way. And if you're using Claude, you can, and this is in the directions that are in that Google Drive folder. If you're using Claude, you can upload this markdown file and ask Claude to make it a skill. Then Claude will permanently remember how to do this across all chats forever, which I love. So the Claude skills are like a super bonus, and one of the main reasons why I'm loyal to them forever and will have a paid account with them. So so you can do that too. And there's directions in the support doc in the folder on how to do that too. So if you have downloaded the, I'm just going to pull it up in mine because everyone's looking. Add files. Okay. I talk out loud. Oh, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I'm just going to drag and drop it. And I think you can do that with most LLMs. So you can hit the plus button or drag and drop it. So I added the skill into there. And I recommend you do that too. And then I would love for you to be able to try this out on the problem that you came in with today, if you're thinking about something. Or if you're not, you can continue to iterate on what we've been working on. But one thing that I've been thinking a lot about is engaging alumni of my internship program. So in here, I'm going to put in how might we engage our internship alumni to support incoming interns. So I have so I'm going to put, for this first one, or if you're not using Claude, I'll put use this markdown to help me revise this alumni question. And put it in. And you can watch this if you want, or just go to town and try it out yourself. Use the markdown in your own chatbot and see if it can help you. So you'll see here, it chose the mode. There are 4 modes, and it chose critique and rewrite based on what I said and based on what I already have. It gave me my original, and then it's evaluating it. Is it human-centered? Is it insight-driven? Is it generative? Is it outcome-oriented? Scope? Positive framing? Clear and concise? Actionable for ideation? I just made this up right now, so it's terrible how might we question. And using the skill, it's showing me exactly what I need to do to make it better. And then failure modes is kind of like a coding deal, and it sounds really harsh, but it's just letting you know that you didn't pass what criteria. And it says the big outcome, the who problem, and the incremental trap. I failed those 3, and it's telling me why. And then it rewrites 3. And of course, forget the my read. I think you should do this one. Never, ever listen to it unless you agree with it. But I came in with a mediocre how might we statement, and it has guided me towards some directions that are better. And this will be even better when I include survey data and transcripts. Let's see, Sheila, I am doing it all on just Claude Chat. I'm not on CoWork. CoWork is when you need to coordinate a bunch of files together. And I don't use that very often because, again, I'm on the pro plan. I'm on the cheap $20 plan. And so I need to save my tokens. And Claude Chat does a great job. And I find the Sonnet Adaptive really works for me in this situation. If I want to like vibe code an app, I tend to go to Opus. But for this type of work, Sonnet does a really great job for me. So it looks like someone said they got a lot of pitchback from ChatGPT. Questions too broad. Yeah, so you should be getting flags for where it's weak, and then suggestions on how to build it. Let's see, I'm looking at the. Oh, okay. So I'm really curious. Did anyone get any good results that they want to share?
I have results, but they're mix of pass and fail. So I don't know.
Okay. Do you are they helpful to you?
Yeah. This is
Okay.
fantastic.
Oh, great. Yay. Yeah, I love creating Claude skills, and I will say that it's pretty easy to make one. So we have extra time. So I can explain that if there are no questions or other things to share about how might we. Yes, Sheila, I agree. Yeah, we can talk about that. The irony or ethics of using AI for human-centered design. You've got to be really careful. You've got to keep humans at the center. You don't want to use made-up data. You need to talk to real people, talk to them often, and include them throughout the process. AI is a tool that you can use to help you do some of the design work. But when it comes to the human connection, you cannot replace that with AI. And it would be unethical too. And then I would also say the ethics of using it energy consumption wise, you want to be really smart with how you use it, what model you're using. You don't want to use Opus every time, for example, or the highest level of GPT if you don't need to. And so you want to be using the least amount of energy to get the greatest outputs. And that's why these markdown files are the best, because you don't have to go through multiple rounds. And every time you ask it another question, it reads and goes through the entire chat that you've had so far before it answers. And as the chat gets longer, each question takes up more and more tokens. And that was a game changer for me, learning that. And so another way to be more ethical with energy consumption is to just start a new chat and ask it sometimes, hey, can you create a handoff document for a new chat with all the information we've used here? And it will compress everything, and you can cut and paste it into a new chat and keep going, but you're not eating up all those tokens and all of that energy. Any other questions? Or things y'all want to talk about? We've got 5 minutes.
Sheila said, thanks for that. People clowned her when she told them that she was looking forward to this. But she appreciates the energy. It's a game changer. Caroline says she loves this. Joy asks, how did you create these skills? And I think that's a great question. Tell us your origin story, Rachel, as we close out. Thank you so much.
Sure. So I'm just really a curious person, and I want to learn all the things. I don't have enough time. But when I was getting into Claude and seeing the possibilities, I started like looking into how to maximize it. And the skills function is fairly new. I'd say it's within the last year. And you can go on GitHub, which I'm not super familiar with, to be honest. And people have made a bunch of skills, or you can just create your own. So I'll tell Claude, hey, I want to create a skill that will do this. So for this, how might we skill? I uploaded a bunch of documents from IDEO, from Stanford Design School, from Nielsen Norman Group, all the big names about this. And I asked it to help me create a skill that would support me in creating these through a wide variety of entry points. And we just kind of chatted back and forth about it until it felt right. And then I tried it out. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's try it. And it wasn't quite where I wanted it. It was a little too wordy. And so I pushed back again and said, like, I want you to be more concise. Again, token use, but also like I don't have time to read, tons of I just lost the word, but tons of extra words. So I pushed back again, and then I asked it to publish it. And Claude can also publish markdown files if you have Claude. If you don't have Claude, you can do it in Google Drive. So I guess to reiterate, to create a skill, skills is a uniquely Claude system, but so you go in and you upload all the docs that are referenced, you ask it for help, and you reiterate, and then when you have it, you tell it to make it a skill, and it will save it in its memory. You don't have to do anything special, you just do it in the chat. I see one more question, and then I'll pass it back to you, Tati.
Okay.
It says, do you also create your agent skills the same way for other LLMs, or do you mostly use Claude only? I mostly use Claude, but I know that people use or create agents in Copilot to do very similar things. So it is possible. Thank you so much for letting me be here, talking to you about this. I love to geek out about design thinking and AI. So this is really fun.
Yes, thank you so much, Rachel. Let's give Rachel some love. And Rachel, there was one last question in the chat and some comments just saying how amazing this has been and just thanking you. Matt shared that he has a friend who is a special education teacher, and he spends a huge amount of time doing custom lesson plans and evaluation for each of his students. But it sounds like he could upload the past evaluations as a skill. Any thoughts there?
I used to be a teacher, not special ed, so shout out to them. They're heroes. But I think differentiation in lesson plans is a huge opportunity in using AI. And so you could create skills on how to evaluate using rubrics, whatever. Yeah. Or just dropping a lesson plan and saying, differentiate this for a student with this IEP, this IEP, this IEP, as long as your district uses Copilot and has FERPA in place.
Love that. And they're just giving you your kudos, and I want to, go on record and share them with you. Thank you so much. This is great. Again, thanks, Rachel, for the presentation on this. Really practical and easy to apply. Really appreciate your time. Thank you. So great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rachel. It was a great event. Rachel, you had me at I used to be a teacher.
Oh, yeah. Teacher power.
Oh, so thank you again so much, Rachel. Super informative and interactive, just the way we like it. We appreciate you for joining our community. As Rachel shared at the beginning, she's in the healthcare space in public health, health equity. She joined us at one of our meetups, I think in maybe March, or was it March or February? I can't remember.
March.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, the months are running together. But she joined us at a meetup for our health systems and AI bill cycle. Loved the work that we were doing and jumped right in, serving us in a mentor capacity. So we really appreciate her sharing her time and her talent with us on today. We hope that those of you who have joined will continue to do so. Everyone will receive an evaluation form after today's session. So please share this feedback with us there as well in the Luma link. And then also I dropped a few links in the chat. Again, we would like for you to register for this current bill cycle. We're focused on energy and climate. We have how many pods ideas came forth? Five different problem statements.
5 problem statements, but those are just problem statements. Lots of different ideas and research areas can come from those. So they don't, you don't have to think of it as a fixed thing. You think of it like, just take that how might we to heart and, think about diverging, like lots of different paths to diverge from.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, perfect, Sandra. That's exactly what we needed. So please, if you have not had an opportunity to register for the pod and to vote and join a pod, you have until Sunday, May 3rd at 11:59 p.m. So we will announce on Monday the pods that will move forward, and we'll have our Meet the Pods meetup on May 12th. Again, we meet second Tuesdays at DC Public Library. We normally have a workshop that's followed by an opportunity to meet with other upskillers and network and build out your prototypes. And then the last thing that I'll say is that if you've enjoyed this workshop, we have another one on the horizon. Mentor Andrew, who is not a stranger to this community, he will facilitate a workshop on next Thursday. And he will also do a virtual workshop. So want to invite you to that workshop on May 7th. I'm going to drop the link shortly in the chat. And he's focused on mastering prompt engineering. Another great facilitator. So we welcome you back for that workshop and look forward to seeing you in person, especially those of you who said you were right there in DC. Come and join us on May 12th. Thank you again so much and have a great evening.